Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pick Six podcast. Again, we are kind of rolling out some of our short form content. So these next couple videos you'll see on my channel, we're going to give it a shot and we're going to try breaking these down in smaller bite-sized pieces, breaking down each game of round 2 of the CFP. So we're going to start off with the first game. This is going to be played on New Year's Eve, last college football game of 2025. And it couldn't get any better of a matchup for the last game to cap off really an amazing year. This is going to be a 7:30 kick, 7:30 p.m. And this is the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic for the quarterfinal matchup. And you can hate on me all you want, but I love these neutral site games in the playoffs. A lot of people think, hey, the highest ranked teams, the highest seeded teams should play at home for the first round, for the second round, even maybe the third round until you get to the Natty. I tend to disagree with that. I'm not saying it would be the end of the world if the second round games got switched to home playoff games to give an advantage, but I really, really love the vibe and the feel, like just the special atmosphere of these neutral site games. So whether it be played in Atlanta, Georgia, or Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, or SoFi Stadium, all these different iconic venues and stadiums and domes. It just, to me, it feels special. It feels like an intense bowl game. I don't know. Maybe it's just what I've grown up in and what I'm used to. I don't know. But man, watching that national championship last year, Buckeyes beat Notre Dame. I loved it being in the dome. I loved the atmosphere. I love the quarterfinal matchup, the Cotton Bowl, like I mentioned, in Jerry World, even though it felt like an away game playing Texas. That's just my opinion. That's controversial. I know it's not a popular opinion. I love these dome games and these neutral site matchups. So let's jump into the matchup at hand today. We have the 10th-ranked Miami Hurricanes facing the 2nd-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. Again, this is a neutral site matchup. It looks like the Buckeyes will be wearing scarlet for this game. Miami here, obviously advancing after beating Texas A&M in round 1 of the CFP. If you watch that game, some people have speculated and said that it was like watching paint dry and it was very boring and it was a horrible game. And I also tend to disagree with that a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying it was a barn burner or a shootout or anything like that. Clearly it wasn't. If you have eyes, you know it wasn't. But it was a very interesting game because it was such a defensive matchup. The defenses played so stellar. I love watching just great defense. Kind of like the Cotton Bowl last year, with Ohio State and Texas. Really, had a few big plays here and there, but it was a very defensive matchup for both teams. I love watching those low-scoring, hard-fought games. Obviously, Miami did a reverse to Tony around the edge to get the only touchdown of the game and to seal the victory 10-3 over Texas A&M. And another thing, I'm bringing up a lot of controversial stuff in this clip today. Another thing is some people think it is a disadvantage to have a bye week in the playoffs. Some people think it is an advantage. Let me know where you're at in the comments. Is it a disadvantage or is it an advantage? To me, it's one of those things that I can't really fully have an opinion on because we haven't really seen enough of it. I mean, I'm sure to a certain degree your team could be rusty after having a bye week, but your team's also more banged up if you play in the first round. Some people who like playing in the first round say, you can shake the rust off, you can stay in a rhythm going through the postseason. And that is true. That's a pro to that, staying in your zone, staying in your rhythm, not getting sluggish or slow or having too much time off without a game. But you're also more banged up. You have less time to game plan, like less time to come together as a team and really try to figure out your opponent. And it's tough because last year, all 4 teams who had the first round bye lost. However, I think the seeding was jacked up. I think some of those teams that had the bye were not very good of teams. We saw Boise State go down on New Year's Eve to Penn State. We saw Arizona State. They did give Texas all they could handle in that game, but they ultimately didn't pull through and didn't win. And same goes for every other team who had a bye week. I think personally, as a Buckeyes fan, I love the bye week, or whatever you want to call it, first round bye. I love having this. It gives us more time to prepare. That's what the Buckeyes are. We're the number 2 seed, so we got an automatic bye. First game and this is Miami's second game. I think this is going to be a really great matchup. And truthfully, I think it's going to be a battle of the defenses. I don't think it's going to look exactly like the Texas A&M Miami game. I do think it could have the potential to look similar, maybe slightly higher scoring, maybe a few more points, a little bit more of the fireworks that you could see. I don't see this being a shootout. I don't see the score being in the 40s or 50s or anything crazy or back and forth, because both defenses are very sound and very solid. Obviously, the news, our head coach, Ryan Day, the Ohio State Buckeyes coach, announced he will be calling all the offensive plays for the Buckeyes for the remainder of the CFP run. Some people have come to think that this is bad, that he's a terrible play caller. He doesn't have a great offensive mind. I think those people are crazy. Did you watch the 2022 Peach Bowl in the CFP, Ohio State versus Georgia? CJ Stroud played out of his mind. Our offense played out of their mind. Ryan Day called just a game out of his mind. Like, amazing. Like, that Georgia team was outstanding. And we were the better team that night. We were just a missed field goal away, and our defense gave up 18 points in 6 minutes. Just several different units of our team did not execute. But it wasn't our offense. It was not the fault of our offense. And I think Ryan Day, he has a history. Obviously, he got hired at Ohio State as an OC. So I don't get where this narrative is that he can't call plays and that he doesn't know offense and he can't beat teams and beat other people. I think he had a big say in a lot of our offensive play calling last year with Chip Kelly. Obviously, they're very close. So I just don't understand all the hate, all the pushback for Coach Day calling the plays. I think he's going to do an outstanding job. Obviously, our OC, Brian Hartline, got hired as a head coach of USF. Everybody knows that. He apparently is staying with the team, but he's not going to be calling plays. To me, again, another unpopular opinion, I think that's great news that he's not calling the plays. I have been very, very unimpressed with him at many points throughout this year. I think our defense has made our team look a lot better. And there's been a lot of just lack of creativity on the offensive side of the ball. We get into the red zone. What does Brian Hartline do? Immediately, goal line formation, 3 to 4 tight ends. We're going to play tough ball. We're going to run it up the middle. And that is why our red zone efficiency is so poor, because of lack of creativity. And we're just trying to line up and play tough ball and put 2 or 3 or 4 tight ends on the line. And it never works. It has yet to work this entire season. I do not know why we keep calling that and doing stupid stuff like that. Needless to say, I truthfully just think Ohio State is the better, more talented, more well put together team. And we've seen that all throughout the season. And I think it's going to show. I will say this, Miami fans, if you're watching this, or if you personally think Miami could win, I think Miami's only path to victory is for Ohio State to try to play tough ball and run in between the tackles like we did in the regular season last year versus Michigan, versus All-Americans. That is like the only way you guys win. If that happens, A, and B, we do not provide adequate protection for Julian Sand like we, failed to do versus Indiana. Personally, I don't want to see a bunch of tight ends on the line. I don't want to see us try to QB sneak it on 4th and 1 and run it up the middle on 4th and 1. I want to see trick plays. I want to see fireworks. I want to see what we saw in the Rose Bowl last year versus Oregon. Like, Jeremiah Smith was unstoppable. Igbuka, unstoppable. Carnell Tate, all of these guys, like, so many great plays, so many big splash plays, misdirection, confusion. Don't run at the tackles, and do not have an empty set in the backfield and Julian Sands trying to hold his own against Ruben Bain Jr. He's a game wrecker. In my opinion, you should have an extra back, probably a bigger back, like big back, get it, big back, like CJ Donaldson, or maybe a fullback or tight end, to literally their only assignment is Ruben Bain. Once he breaks past your right tackle, I believe it's right tackle, once he breaks past your lineman, boom, you're there as a second line of defense, so Sand has time to throw the ball. Because I think if we're trying to run one-on-one versus Ruben Bain, he's going to wreck this game. And so that could be Miami's only path to victory, is if we try to run the ball right up the middle, right at the strength of their defense, which is their defensive line, and we try to have Sand throw the ball with not adequate time. Obviously, our line did not play great against Indiana. Sand didn't have enough time. Sure, he missed some throws and et cetera, et cetera. But that's what we need. That's what Miami needs, at least. What Ohio State needs is to go out like they did last year in the playoffs. Play aggressive. Trick plays. Do it like, let's do a reverse. Let's hand the ball off to Jeremiah Smith around the corner with extra blockers. Let's do like misdirections like we did with Trey Henderson. Like Quinshon Judkins. Like, let's throw the ball deep. Like take some shots. Take some shots. I've heard Jeremiah Smith in the press conference, him saying, hey, we got something for them. We're going to take some shots. And I really hope he's right. I do not hope we play this game to not lose. We have to play to win. We have to play aggressive. When Ohio State plays aggressive, nobody can stop them. Nobody can beat them, and nobody can compete with us. We saw it in the CFP last year. We won by double digits in all 4 games. In every single game. Nobody can match us talent for talent when we're running our strengths on offense and defense and special teams. Like, nobody can stop us. That is our path to a natty. That is our path to winning this game. I ultimately think Coach Day knows that, and he has realized that. That is why he's taking over the play calling. I think we're going to play aggressive. I think we're going to take shots. I think JJ is going to have a career game because he does not like Miami. There's some sort of bad blood after he decided not to commit there and he committed to Ohio State. So Miami has a very slim chance of winning this. Give me the Buckeyes, 24-13, advancing to the semifinal. Probably going to be playing Georgia. Hopefully we can beat Georgia and go to the natty, but we'll see.